I was just watching the Keith Andrews Network, and I really support what he's doing in terms of promoting all people to follow their dreams. Keep the good work.
Welcome to 503. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here is the talented and beautiful Alyssa. And I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
The honor is all mine. For people who want to know what my talk show is about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. They should never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. And you should prove to them you can break the labels. So hashtag break the labels. So that being said, it's going to be a half hour, 32 minutes of your time. Say anything you want, talk about whatever you want. Freedom of speech, self-expression. And starting off, what can you tell us about yourself? How was life growing up?
Oh, life growing up. So, currently I'm a travel writer. I'm a storyteller and comic. And I'm a teacher, formerly taught younger kids, and now I'm teaching adults. Growing up, I grew up in Philadelphia, born in Brooklyn. And my family were immigrants. My father was a mailman. My mother was a displaced person born to a slave labor farm in Germany. So my grandmother was literally a slave. And I think, we had the choice to live anywhere in the world when you're a displaced person. This is World War II. And they chose America. And they chose Philadelphia because there was a Ukrainian community. So, and my dad's a Jewish Bronx, New York Jew back to Belarus area. So that's my background. And we were told that, that we were talented and had potential. But I think, when you're a kid, you don't know how to make that happen. And it's a long process, and a lot of mentors helped me on my way to success. Not that I'm successful yet 100%, but that's kind of my journey. I have a lot of teachers to thank.
No, I feel the same way. After interviewing Thanksgiving 503 people.
I know. Wow. It's
a lot of people would think, I'd probably be on TV or get my own studio. But it's a work in progress. But I was going to ask you, was everything you accomplished in your life, being a performer, being a teacher, have you ever been on TV?
I was a few times. I got an agent when I was 34 years old, which is pretty unusual, as a model and actor. And I did, I did some extra work, and I did some game shows, and more to my writing, I was a guest on Huffington Post Live and BBC Radio. But I always wanted to be on TV, but not as a fictional actor. Yeah. I wanted to be on TV as myself, as a performer and a thinker. Saturday Night Live would probably have been my dream job, but I think performing is close.
No, absolutely. For me, Keith Andrews is my stage name, and I was thinking about writing. I wrote a book, to make a long story short, but there was a lot of spelling errors. But the point of it was I wanted to make Keith Andrew a fictional character.
Okay.
And they're like, wait, so you're not a real person? And I'm like, that's not what I meant to be. It's, yes, Keith Andrew's a fictional character because that's who I'm portraying, but that's only my first and middle name. So in a way, that's kind of like a fictional character if you think about it.
Oh, that's common. That's totally common. It's called a roman à clef, where it's a novel based on your life, really. A lot of writers do that. Memoir was all the rage, and I was writing a lot of personal essays. I've toned it down because it's a lot to put yourself out there. If you have to be ready for that, level of publicity. But instead of writing a memoir, a lot of authors will say, I'll write a roman à clouf, a fictional account of essentially my life. Is that what your book was about?
Well, it was sort of pretty much. Don't mind me, I just have a lot in my mind. It was pretty much that. It's pretty much just. When I don't do my interviews this way, I kind of show my disability more, so I do apologize. Pretty much what the book was, I felt more like I was complaining, saying, okay, this is what I did when I was 5, and this is all the trauma, and this is all the teasers, and I'm like, I really don't know how to write. I would love to hire you to tell my story if you're interested.
Maybe, yeah, because I love helping people write. It's fun for me. It's a lot easier than writing. So much easier than writing. Writing's hard. It's probably my least favorite. I always say I love publishing, not writing. In other words, I like it when it's all done, but the hardest part is the actual putting it down, organizing it, editing it. And yeah, I used to tell my students it takes 76 drafts minimum. How many times if you write one page, probably that writer did at least 76 drafts. That was a mentor told me that once, that he had literally counted. And I'm sure I've done at least 20, 30 rewrites. So, yeah, writing is rewriting. And it's hard. I mean, it's physically, you just sit there, but it's one of the hardest things out there. So you have the art.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say that with your story, you have the first part right, which is that you're like, I just moved to Colorado, and a plant fell off. It's funny because the weather is so crazy. It's beautiful, but it gets really windy. But anyway, it's still nice. Okay, so you have the first part right, which is your struggle. But every story, unfortunately to an extent, it's a cliche, but it works, wants that transformative part. And then I realized I could make it. I can, and it doesn't have to have, I've had agents tell me myself that, well, Alyssa, your book's not going to sell yet because you're not married or you didn't have that life, and then I settled down forever. But that is the narrative arc. So I think you've got it because you started with the struggles and now you're here. And the here is, the transformation. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And have you ever written articles about people, and would you be interested in writing articles about someone?
Yeah, I love doing profiles, getting out of myself and just picking people's brain. And I love writing about super successful people and, how did they get there? And one of I haven't published it yet, but I met Jimmy Buffett's sister, Lulu Buffett, and she's super cute and charming. She's like in her 60s. And she said, yep, I was kicked out of Catholic school for being pregnant. And now she's a multi-millionaire businesswoman. She's running several businesses. So that's the kind of story I like to tell. Or another woman I interviewed was in jail. She was addicted to methamphetamines, and she went from jail to super successful entrepreneur, and then she paid it forward by starting a company to help other former convicts, like people with felonies, so that she could help them. So I like that aspect, too, of helping. And I think these interviews help people.
Well, I do have a couple of ideas for you off the air.
Okay.
But the other thing, I was looking at your profile. Who influenced you to become a writer? Like, what is, out of all the stories you've written, all the articles you've written, what is the number one said, this is my first, and I think I'm on this is my first, and I think I'm on to something?
That's a great question, and I think everyone has a different answer. I think a lot of people have that, I was born, I wanted to be a writer. I kind of thought I was going to be a painter. I knew I wanted to be an artist. But, when I think back on it, I was writing. I dressed up as Emily Post when I was like in third grade, and I, it's another early. I wrote a book with my best friend in sixth grade, and even though I wrote and illustrated it, because I was so obsessed with I want to be a painter, I said just credit me as the illustrator. So it's funny how if you get something in your head, sometimes it keeps you off the path. So I would say I stumbled upon the path of being a writer. I thought I was going to be a philosophy professor because I'm really nerdy and cerebral, and I loved philosophy. And then I studied philosophy, and you can't really get a job with a philosophy bachelor's degree. So there's this program where you teach English in Japan, and it's through the American and Japanese government. It's pretty hard to get in. I applied twice, and what's cool is that it's a very cultural exchange. So when I was 23, I went to Japan, and I was living in this really isolated town where it was about an hour and a half from Tokyo. And there was only one other English speaker, an Australian fellow teacher. We were teaching English. And there was like an hour away was like 10 other Westerners. But so I was kind of isolated and lonely, and I joked that I had no one to talk to because I did actually learn Japanese at the end of the year, by the end of the year, but I had no one to talk to, so I started a blog, right? Everyone was just beginning to blog. I think Friendster was still around, not even Facebook. MySpace.
I miss MySpace.
MySpace, you remember Friendster?
I did. I never used it.
Yeah, that was like one of the first. And I think I remember saying to my mom, oh, I wish I could just like write Friendster captions. Anyway, so my blogs were my only outlet. I just had to write, and I wrote, and people said, who read it, like, wow, this is pretty, it's really descriptive. And they liked it. And then I thought, when I came home, not everyone has the experience of living abroad in Japan for a year, and I wanted to tell my story. So then I found another job as a teacher, teaching English as a second language in New York, and that provides so many stories. Like, sometimes when writers don't have day jobs, you don't have as much material. But anyway, so I found a nice writing mentor in New York City. I think you live in New York, right? Manhattan?
No, I'm not in the city. I'm more near like West Point. So I'm like an hour and a half from the city.
Is that Long Island?
No, West Point is in the Catskills.
Okay, cool. I wrote an article about Cooperstown. Is that nearby? No?
What was the name?
Cooperstown?
Cooperstown? I need to ask my sister. Maybe that's Long Island, or I really don't know where Cooperstown is.
Okay. Well, West Point's very famous, so I should know.
For me, I'm in the Catskills up in the near the Hudson Valley, and that's pretty much known for all the UFO sightings.
Oh, really? And it's known for a lot of artists up there. Marina Abramovich lives there in Hudson Valley. A lot of artists from New York City made the exodus. They want, like me, that we want to get out of the city. But yeah, so I found a writing mentor. I was so lucky. I found this mentor. She's super famous. I think I won't mention her by name, but I'll tell you, off the record later. But she is well known for being what I think everyone needs, which is like not just here's how to write, but here's how to motivate people to get the courage to start submitting, to actually publish and get book deals. And she's known for her practical advice and not the art of writing. Because a lot of people come to us just by writing and rewriting, as I said. But she is known for like how to get published, how to get your book out there, and a lot of it's a confidence game, and I learned that. But then it took me like a year to publish my first piece ever. And when I did, it was on the cover of the New York Press. I don't know if that's still around. I think they sold it. But kind of like the city paper. And it was a memoir. It was a juicy tell-all about dating a Hasidic guy. and how it brought me to my Jewish identity, and it even sent me to Israel and found my roots. And it was like 3,500 words, and it was republished like 3 times. And that, I don't know. I don't think it's just talent. I think it's hard work, and I think it's persistence and drive and just wanting to tell my story. And even in my story, I think it helped people. And I always like that part, that my story makes people, when you tell a true story, it makes people feel less alone. And that's what books did for me.
No, absolutely. Now, the next question I was going to ask you, you mentioned you were a teacher. Have you ever, well, 2 questions in one. First one is, have you ever taught people with disabilities? And have you ever written about people with disabilities? Because you're a writer.
I did teach people with disabilities, yeah, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. By chance, so in New York City, it's very, I taught in public schools. I have my license is in English as a second language. But there was a principal, and he said, I see you speak French, because I did my study abroad a semester, which turned into almost a year in Paris, which was fabulous.
Yeah, nice.
Made me want. That's one of the first times that is the first time I lived abroad. Made me become a serial expat. I love living abroad. And he said, "Can you teach French?" And I said, "Sure." Part of the job was that I would be teaching. I was teaching from what they called, unfortunately, they call it regular ed. Regular ed, the gifted kids, they call it gifted and talented. They had names for these classifications. They had ED kids, which meant emotionally disturbed, who were my favorites.
I guess you like me then.
And, well, yeah. Emotionally disturbed. And then the last category, I think I have ED as well, is, they called it Miss 5, which is like, the level where the kids might eventually have to be institutionalized because they couldn't go to the bathroom alone. Some of them were nonverbal. Down syndrome, which that was how New York classified it. So those were also my favorites. Such heart, and I called my teaching heart work, because all I had to do was connect to them on an emotional level. And I was teaching them French, but really we were just, coloring and singing. We were coloring in French, drawings and singing French numbers. But that was fun, and I have considered getting my special ed license, because you need it. It's a whole new master's degree. But yeah, that was really, really rewarding. And here in Boulder, I even was thinking about volunteering or working with, I miss working with what we call high needs, vulnerable populations, which I'm a part of it. I have some disabilities myself, and I had to, get help to overcome them. They didn't show up in school. They came later in life. So, but, it's kind of a framing. It's getting the help you need for, like, organization and how to. And then helping others just feels so good, especially when I've struggled too, and I can relate. And that's why I taught English as a second language, because I had lived in Japan and felt exactly like the kids I was teaching, that they couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak Japanese when I lived in France. So you develop a lot of empathy when you're in the situation yourself. You shouldn't have to be in the situation in order to feel empathy. That's why we have to visualize ourselves in other people's shoes. But it's a fine line, as you know, where we don't want to be put in a box. You're this, and you're going to stay that. But we want to recognize if we have any problems, how can we fix them? Or some people have the belief that we don't need to be fixed, that society is the thing that's broken. That's what some people think, right? Which is a little bit true. What do you think?
I agree with you. Hey, look who's president. Let's start with that. Out of 3 billion people, we had 2 crappy people to choose from. And unfortunately, yeah, I voted for Mr. Trump because I thought,
he has a disability. He has many disabilities. That's the thing. It's like a lot of that. Like, we're all flawed. We're all messed up. But we all do struggle, but we struggle in different ways. So we do have to recognize if another person is struggling differently, And so, for example, I do struggle with organization. I was diagnosed ADD. So another person would say, like, duh, Alyssa, this is so simple. Or like, how could you be late? One time I was a day late to work. And they were like, what? And I said, I read the schedule wrong, And they're like, no, this means you don't care. And it's recognizing that, no, we're different. I'm not a linear thinker like you. So we're different, but we all have some sort of deficit or something we're struggling with. And we should just be empathetic. But yeah, Mr. Trump has a lot of, personality and whatever. I'm a moderate. I love the story. I love knowing both sides, and I'm very critical of any side that says, that the other side is Nazis, or B, that the other side is completely wrong and stupid. So I like to listen. That's the journalist in me. I would love to interview Trump,
They never say never. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, it's the last 11 minutes left of the show. And
oh my gosh, it's flying by. All right.
Coleman Williams. This is Vanessa Lina. Asian Lolo.
Allie Feingold.
This is Cynthia Bass-Today.
I'm Sonia Fisher. This is Shane Smith.
My name is Alexandra Bowie.
My name is Amelia Clover.
Hi, I'm Amy Linden.
Hi, I'm Anita Nicole Brown.
Renee Green.
Hi, my name is Asata Caldwell.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brooke.
Hi, I'm Bryn Berg.
Hi, I'm Casey Dunn.
Hi, it's Cassandra Kavinsky.
Hi, I'm Christina Briza.
I'm Cindy Hogan.
I'm Courtney Sinello.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
My name is Deborah Jane East.
Hi, my name is Dinah Maasea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria London.
Hi, I'm Heather Krona.
Hi, I'm Heather Callahan Stevens.
Hi, I'm J. Nicole Ralph.
My name is Jamie Petrone.
My name is Julie.
My name is Julia Brankovic.
Kathleen Wills.
Kimberly Amato.
Hi, my name is Laura Putnam.
Hi, I'm Laura Shapanis.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa Damas.
This is Michelle Mupo, a.k.a. Fuchsia.
I'm Rachel Oliveira.
Hi, my name is Sarah Joy Mount.
Hi, I'm Susan Brender.
Hi, everyone. This is Venus Leone.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Dana.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Herrera, and I was just on the Keith Andrew Network. It was tons of fun. We used up all our time and then some. I really recommend this show, and try to be a guest on Keith's show. It is super fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Keith Andrew Network. This is 503. I'm here with Alyssa, and with the last 11 minutes and counted, I'm going to pass the show over to you. But before we do, I have one subject I do want to run past you real fast. It's with everything going on with the retail market. Are you an online shopper, or do you like shopped online? And do you think the retail market will eventually disappear?
Well, that's a good question. It's not exactly my area of expertise. I am not an online shopper. Because, again, as a journalist and travel writer, I love to taste, touch, smell, experience everything. I'm an experiential learner. I can't buy, especially clothes, just by a picture. So I always want to hold it, touch it, and then I think about it. And I love to have samples, and then I'll take a whole day, and then I'll think about it. So, but I don't know. I mean, they said that about books, that books are going to disappear because of the internet and reading online, and magazines are now online. But supposedly the book industry is thriving, so people still read books, paper books, and ebooks. What do you think? Is it? I mean, I'm sure there's actual data, like numbers on it.
Well, I'm the same way with you. If I see something, I have to physically hold it. And it depends. A book is a book, so it's not really that big of a deal. But for the shirt, I need to make sure it's the right material. I'm not going to get something crappy and pay all that money. So I like feeling things.
Yeah, me too.
So with shirts, with pants, with sneakers, I think those are always going to be around for the most part. But for the small things like books, pens, those may vary. But with that being said, it's like, look at Toys R Us. Toys R Us has been around for about 70 years, and they completely dropped the ball on that one. There's absolutely no reason why they went out. You know, they did create Amazon to what they are, so that bought into that. And it's kind of like there has to be a toy market. Because there's... Supposedly I was talking to someone... No, I was actually talking to someone, not supposedly. I was talking to someone and they said supposedly when kids use technology, it does something to their brains. And the red parts of the brains disappear. And if you go 6 months without technology, the red parts come back and they use more parts of the brain. So it's actually more fun to play with an item, you know, play with Mr. Kitty than, oh, I want to watch videos, compared to that.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about unplugging, and I believe that. I'm sure there's something that's overactive. We're all on screens. It's overactivating some part. And I know when you unplug, oh, it's so liberating, so nice. I mean, tonight's Shabbat. I'm gonna just celebrate at home and go out later. But typically on Shabbat, you unplug, right? So that's a natural way. And forest bathing. Anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I don't know what happened with Toys R Us because I'm not the best businesswoman. I'm trying to get better, but I believe, who knows, maybe it was like an inside, maybe for years they were failing, or maybe there was embezzlement. I'm not saying there was. I have no idea. But
well, there was a lot of things. You know, 2001, and then we can go to another subject. Let's use two last two, then I'm going to pass it to you. 2001, they filed Chapter 11, Bain Capital, bailed them out. Instead of paying off the debt, they went more into debt. And so, yeah, I was upset when I lost my job. And talk about unplugging. I think they do it like once a year or something on Nickelodeon, where they would purposely cancel their network and they would have on TV, go outside and play. So
that's cute. Okay.
I can't remember when they do it, but things like July or August, they would have where we are now outside, or today's National Go and Play Day. So they would cut off the network and then make you go outside and play. So I think that's good that they do that.
Yes, when I was growing up in the 80s, I remember, and 90s, this song like YouTube Gotta Shut It Off. Anyway, they're saying couch potato. They had all these funny, jokey songs about the commercial time, saying your brain's gonna rot, go outside. And then I'd be like, oh, well, okay, you know, you're very impressionable as a kid, and that's good. It's smart. Good for them.
No, absolutely. Now I'm passing the show over to you. Was there anything you wanted to know? Anything you want to talk about? Wrapping up.
I think because I talk so much, let's talk about you and how you overcame your dislike. You know, when were you diagnosed? Do you agree in that diagnosis? And how you overcame it. You said you were working at a tradition. You were working at Toys R Us?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and now you're a freelance producer. So let's hear your story. Let's hear it. I never heard it.
I'll give you the highlights. I was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, depression, social anxiety. I was labeled mentally disturbed. Mentally disturbed, mentally disconnected, disabled, mentally challenged, and retarded.
Wow.
And I said, you know, if that's the way you want to write up about me.
When was this? Was this at a certain age, or?
Yeah, just between the age of 3 and 4. And I had that going for growing up for my whole life.
Right, because they said this is who you are, right?
Yeah. And to make a long story short, I'm just showing you that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, and it's approved of them, you can still amount to something.
Of course, yeah. And that's what I was telling you on the break about neurodiversity, that we are all different. If we're struggling to fit into society, there's two ways. One is to find another society, which a lot of people do, either find a different job or a different city or a different country. And the other is to get some tools, so if you want to have an office job and you have ADD like me and you, then you're going to have to get some organizational tools, to schedule and figure that out. But so how did you, when did you stop working at Toys R Us?
Oh, just past May 14th.
Oh, so you were doing this at the same time, though?
Yeah.
You had both going on. Okay, so now you're full-time. And what are your plans for the future? What is your ultimate goal?
I would love to work for Fox News, WWE, any big companies.
As?
I'm like a broadcaster, or not like a journalist, because I can't really read and write that well. Like, I can write and read, but it doesn't really sink in, because I learn at a 5th grade level. So it's kind of like I need to figure out something that I'm good at and work on that.
Yes, improve our strengths. When did they say that, the thing about the 5th grade level? Was that recently or was that in high school?
It's going back since '93 all the way up to 2006.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of celebrities probably read it. Right? A lot of famous people probably. Cool. Well, as a teacher, and I love helping people and mentoring them, I had this whole list of advice I was going to give. One is confidence, be nice, pay it forward, and always, if you're asking for anything, always offer something. Barter. It's that's what we do as artists, Oh, can you review my book? Okay. Can you review my book, though? Something like that. Although you shouldn't review your friend's books. But anyway, my advice to you is inspirational speaker. What about that? And that whole path. And once you get there and you're speaking at high schools and elementary schools and colleges and probably like political conventions, then you are known, and then Fox has you on as, an expert on neurodiversity or learning disability. Did you ever think about that?
I have, and I've been trying to get gigs in that, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. But I'm still going to work on it.
Yeah, nothing happens overnight. I think the best thing you can do with that is, I only know a few people. I don't know anyone personally that is a full-time inspirational speaker. I know like writers and artists that sometimes speak about how to become a writer and artist, but is to meet others and maybe invite them as guests on your show, inspirational speakers, and then ask them exactly how they did it. And sometimes you have to pay people as a coach because these are guarded secrets sometimes. So, find someone who did what you want and either barter with them, pay them, or maybe they're feeling like they're in such a position that they want to pay it forward.
So wrapping up our interview segment, I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction and what made you say yes? And how can people follow you on social media?
Okay, my first reaction was, oh, I love talking on air and on radio as a guest, and I love helping other people. And I said yes because someone who I consider a mentor gave me the advice to just say yes to every opportunity. And you actually can't say yes to every single opportunity, but every cool opportunity. So I said yes, and I had the time. And social media, I'm Girl Gone Global. Girl One, Gone One, Global One on Instagram. girl_gone global on Twitter. And then my real name, Alyssa Pinsker, on Facebook fan page. And I would love that. It's all my travel.
No, absolutely. Now stay tuned. I do have a couple of questions for you off the air. But wrapping up, I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road. And I'm looking forward to building a friendship with you as well.
Awesome. This was lovely. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you so much. It's great what you're doing. And I look forward to your career as an inspirational speaker and Fox News guest. Talking head.